Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to start the layout of our skimmer. This is a finished skimmer that I have here um, with all the fins and the brass fastener installed and everything. So this is what we're going for. And what we're going to start with is we're going to start with the layout of all of the parts of it onto the cardstock. So you're going to grab a piece of cardstock. At the end of these layout videos, this is what you're going to end up with is a piece of cardstock with two fins, an air scoop, and a main body panel. So there's two fins here. There's a main body panel here, which you can see that's labeled, and then the air scoop is underneath. Okay, and they're all going to be laid out on a single sheet of paper. If you would like your fins and air scoop to be a different color than your main body panel, you're going to do this part on a different piece of cardstock. Okay. All right, so you're going to start with a blank sheet of cardstock. So this is what you're going to end up with. I'm going to show you how to put that together. You're going to start with a blank sheet of cardstock. And I'm just going to start with a lighter color because it's easier to see what I'm doing. And this main body panel is right here, is 4 inches wide. So the distance between this bottom edge here and the top edge of the main body panel is 4 inches wide. And then there's two folded edges that are each an inch deep. The center panel is 3 inches. So I'll just label this as 3 inches wide. And the distance from here to here is 4 inches. Okay, so that's what we're going to start with. Okay. All right. So find your ruler, and you need to find the half-inch mark and the 4-inch mark. That's really what we need for today. Just going to see if I can make that a little bit more in focus. Okay, so you're going to make this bottom section of your paper. We can actually label the sheet right now, and we'll just label this bottom piece on the main body panel. Just so you get a general idea where things are supposed to go. The air scoop is going to go up here on the top of the paper. And then you're going to have fin here and fin there. And it's a really good idea to put your name and your period number somewhere in the middle of the paper. Okay, just in case you lose this paper. And the reason this one's really easy to see because I went over everything in black marker. And I will be doing that at some point, but just I am trying to press hard with my pencil so you can see what I'm doing. So we're going to measure to the 4-inch mark from the bottom edge of this piece of paper. So line up the 4-inch mark with the very edge of your paper, and you're going to make one dot. Remember, the main body panel is 4 inches wide. So essentially, we're making a 4-inch margin. And that's our whole main body panel here. Okay, doesn't matter how far apart those dots are. It just matters how far they are from this edge, and they should all be 4 inches from the edge. Draw a nice straight line, and that's a light line. That's called a construction line, so if I needed to erase it, it would be really easy. I'm happy with that line, so I'm just going to hold my ruler firmly in place with all my fingers and make that line a little bit darker. Okay, now here's how we're going to make those 2 half-inch edges on the main body panel. So if you look at my skimmer, that's these half-inch edges are these little kind of rails that are on the bottom of the skimmer. And the way I construct those is I lay my ruler at the 4-inch mark, and I have the 0 line all lined up with the edge of that main body panel. And then I'm going to mark the half-inch mark here and the 3.5-inch mark. So each of these marks here, each of these dots is a 1/2 inch away from the edge that it's nearest to. I'm going to do that same thing right here. So at a 1/2 inch and 3.5, and then another right down the end. Okay. And then I'm going to, now these lines are going to be dotted lines because we don't want to cut these lines. We want to, or most of it anyway, we want to actually fold the lines. So you can do a dotted line like that, or you can just draw a solid line and then erase parts of it to make the line dotted. That works just as well. And you're going to do that all the way to the end. Do the same thing on the bottom. I find it easier to just draw the whole line and then erase out. These lines should be dotted, not solid, just as a reminder, because when we do construction and on any layout for an engineer, dotted lines would be cut lines. Or sorry, dotted lines would be fold lines. So there's your main body panel. Okay, and we're done with that part. Actually, sorry, I forgot we need to put this 3-inch panel on the end on the left edge. Okay, so we're going to do this 3-inch panel. It's also going to help us with the construction of our first fin. So we need to put a line from the bottom of this paper up to the top that is 3 inches from this left edge. So we're going to make a 3-inch margin, mark at the 3-inch line. We're going to do all the way down the paper because it's going to help us with the main body panel, and it's also going to help us construct that fin at the top. So kind of 2 birds with 1 stone. Some kids have asked me, Mrs. Kaplan, why do you insist on laying out the entire skimmer on one piece of paper? And the reason for that is these are, these pieces of paper are cut by machines. And so these edges are perfect 90-degree angles and perfectly straight edges. We want to take advantage of as many machine cut edges as we can, because if we had to do this by hand, cutting this perpendicular corner and this perpendicular corner, it would be harder for us to do it. A machine does it perfectly every time. So why don't we use those corners where they are instead of trying to lay out that fin in the center of a piece of paper? It's much easier to use the edges of the paper. Okay, so what you're going to do here is a couple of things need to happen to this line. We're going to erase the portion of the line that goes on the 1/2-inch margins here, because we do not want to cut or fold in that location. And then this line here is going to become a fold line. So we need to make that a dotted line. Now here's the tricky part. These lines are going to become solid because we are actually going to cut slits for the fins right there. And we need to make sure that those lines are solid so we know that we need to cut those. Okay, so you've got your main body panel there, and then don't worry too much about these lines up here. These are construction lines, and I'll show you which ones to erase when you're finished. So you're done with the main body panel.